Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Samantha. I am an intuitive. I am a channeler. I am a vessel for the great divine, for God, source, love. I am all that. So on my channel, I've done readings in the past and I focus on spiritual content and also sharing my own experiences along my spiritual journey to help you along yours. So today I'm going to do a video all about the transition period that God puts us in to come closer to Him. Also to come closer to our spirit teams, which includes our angels, guides, ancestors, whoever walks with us in the form of the unseen. And also, a question that I often get from clients and from loved ones is about loneliness, about how to deal with it, and also when will it end. And so I'm gonna jump right into this. I've had a couple transition periods within my life, and they've all come about from a very defining moment in my personal life, something that broke me, something that really hurt me, something that I never would have imagined would happen to me. So there are two scenarios in which this happened within my life. One was when I was 18, and that's when I had my first spiritual awakening. And with that awakening, I had just gone through something extremely traumatic and have hit rock bottom. And from there is when I started asking questions about God and about who I am, why I'm here. And that's what led me to finally, giving myself to spirit, to God, and to a life with Him in it. And my most recent one was the past year when it came down to the pandemic. I had a sudden urge to move from my hometown to Florida, where I had a grandmother, or have a grandmother living there. I'm blessed to have that, to have somebody who lives in such a beautiful place to just kind of pick up and leave and go to whenever. And so I was bartending. I was a bartender for about 8 years. And it was really draining on me. My gifts were heightening. I was around a lot of different energy. The money didn't even matter to me anymore. And I started getting an urge to pick up and leave. And I kid you not, I booked my ticket a few weeks in advance, 2 weeks in advance, and picked the 16th of March, 2020 to move to Florida. And I kid you not, the next day after I moved is when everything shut down in the country. And I had no inkling that was going to happen. I had no idea. But I had the intuition and I listened to it. It was literally like a feeling like, Sam, you have to book this ticket, book this ticket, book this ticket, do it. And I did it. And I got down to Florida. The job I was supposed to start didn't start because everything shut down. So I was quarantined for, I think like 3 to 4 months with just me and my grandma. And during that time, the first week of being there, I was like, why am I here? Like, why did I feel guided to come here, God? Like, why did you lead me here? And I was in somewhat of a depression. I just left my hometown. I just left my comfort zone. I left all of my friends that I thought would always be in my life. I left, just comfort behind. And I was very uncomfortable. And that first week, I really didn't get out of bed much. But I had a sudden shift in that after a week. And all of a sudden, I just started, wanting to work on myself, having this drive to work on myself and to really, I just got into this routine of pulling cards for myself, tarot cards, oracle cards, whatever I felt guided to, pulling cards for myself every morning and just seeing what Spirit had to say and not really expecting anything out of it, just really listening and really following the guidance. And at the time, I didn't really know what shadow work was, but it was definitely shadow work that I was doing every single day. I became almost like I just wanted to get it over with. Like, that's how I felt. I felt like I really wanted to get the shadow work over with. I really just was like totally surrendered to Spirit and allowed them to guide me through what I need to release, who I need to forgive, what I need to forgive within myself, the limiting beliefs I had keeping me from fulfilling my purpose here, my mission, being my best self, like all of those things. And I would wake up every morning, I would make my coffee. I would open the blinds, open the windows if it was a nice day. I would sit down and pull cards, pray, pull cards, talk to Spirit, and write. And I would write everything that came to mind, everything that came through, everything I pulled. And sometimes it would be over an hour that I'd be sitting there meditating with Spirit, talking with Spirit, listening to them, crying, laughing, getting excited, whatever it was that I needed that day, or whatever the lesson was in those moments. And I would just do that every single day. Sometimes it'd be over an hour, sometimes it'd be 10 minutes, and then I'd go on with my day. So what I want to get across here is these periods of being alone, or times where you're experiencing loneliness because you feel you're not surrounded by company. You're not surrounded by your usual people. You felt called to move and you're all alone. When in reality, we are never truly alone. When you are called to make a change in your life, to go to an unfamiliar place, no matter what it is, or to leave a comfortable position, a comfortable job, to start venturing off into something completely new. There's a period that it's like, what am I doing? I feel really uncomfortable. This is a beautiful place to be. And it's a beautiful place to be because that's where growth occurs, is when you're uncomfortable. Growth can't occur in your comfort zone. You're distracted. You're in your rut. You're in your zone. You're doing what you already know how to do. So being pulled from that, being pulled from your hometown, being pulled from your usual job or career that you've been at for, say, 25 years, 5 years, something you're used to doing. You can look at it as, I am extremely lonely because all of these people that I thought would be in my life forever are suddenly gone. Or this family member I relied on so much or thought was such a big part of my life that I gave so much to is suddenly not here with me anymore. Or we were separated. We were, forced apart. It felt like as if this person was like pulled from my grip. Like people just leaving your life. People just, you're not really, maybe you understand why, maybe you don't yet. And you're just kind of like, this is really strange to me. Why is this happening? Why am I being forced to be alone? Why am I being punished? The answer is no. You're being prepared. You're being prepared for your purpose. You're being prepared for a better life. What you were living, that phase of your life, yeah, it might have seemed great for the space you were in, but you're being called to more. And loneliness is a mindset. It's an emotion. It's invoked with feelings of being alone. When I was alone in my last transition period and the first one, I literally felt Spirit more than ever. I literally would have such spiritual experiences all the time with them in my dreams, in the physical, seeing, like, they just communicated with me so much and comforted me so much with so many synchronicities and just messages that it was so hard to feel alone because they made sure that they were there for me in a time that they knew I needed them. And they are doing the same for you. You have to be open to seeing it in that way and to open to them, open to their support, open to God's support. And yeah, so the times in our lives when we feel like we are alone or being transitioned into a space where we're uncomfortable, it's a period of God getting rid of the distractions in your life, whether it be people, whether it be a job, whether it be whatever your environment. God wants you to himself during that time. And what I mean by that is God wants you to be vulnerable to him, vulnerable enough to go within yourself, to recognize what it is that you want in your next phase of your life, for you to call that in. This is a time of manifesting. This is a time of spirit and God saying, it's time for you to call out what it is you want your life to be. It's a time of working on yourself. It's a time of healing, time of asking questions, especially. Asking questions is the absolute, like, number one way to develop a close relationship with the divine. Asking questions, asking it out loud. Like, I don't know what this is. When you admit that you don't know, or you want to know more about something, spirit will show up. They will show up. Like, I promise you, they will show up. Also, people being, like I was speaking on before, people being suddenly removed from your life. They're being removed because God's making room in your life for the right people to be in your space, for who you are becoming, not who you were. The people who you had in your life who God removes for whatever reason, however it occurs, it's because you're elevating, and those people aren't going to serve you where you're going. And that's nothing wrong with them. They're just choosing to be in a certain vibration. They're choosing a certain energy, and you're choosing better for yourself. And that's fine. That there is absolutely nothing to feel guilty about when you're choosing better for yourself, because at the end of the day, you're the one who got to live your life. Nobody else has to be in your shoes besides you. So the choices that you make for yourself is what you're going to have to reap. And, you know, being around people who are living it on a lower vibration than you are, you're going to get the same energy that they are receiving back from the universe because you're around them. You're guilty by association. And that's just the way it is. So God will also remove you from people who no longer serve you, who are in a low vibrational energy, so that you aren't getting the karma that they are, so that God can handle them in a way that they need to be handled, and God can deal with you in the way you need to be dealt with. It's two separate levels here. You're not gonna be up here and God's dealing with you as if you're living in a vibration of you know, trying to get over on people, or taking from people, or not asking for whatever and not doing the work, or, you know, partying all the time, not working on yourself. You're not going to be there and dealt with somebody who is there in that space when you're up here thinking about, how can I be a better person? How can I live my God-given purpose? How can I you know, how can I live out my dreams? It's not the same. So if you're hanging out with people who are doing this, God's gonna remove you. And it's as simple as that. And hopefully those people choose to elevate, but that's up to them, and that's not your problem. In a transition period, and you're struggling with feelings of loneliness, or why things had to happen the way they did, or any feelings or hurt from the previous cycle that you were just removed from, ask questions, ask spirit, ask God, like, what are you trying to do in my life? Because again, if you open your mind and say, you know, I don't know the answer, I don't know what's happening, Spirit will provide you the answer you need in the way that you need it. Again, they want you to use this time to develop a closer relationship with them, because you're going to need that relationship for the next phase. When it comes to asking questions, the the actual question I asked myself in my first spiritual awakening, and the first time I ever came to God and really opened myself up to having him in my life, to the idea that there's more out there, to the idea that I'm surrounded by spirit, I'm surrounded by angels and guides and ancestors, I'm completely comforted by them, was when I had my first awakening at 18. And the first question I asked was, what if there is a God? That's the first thing I asked. That question led me to diving deeper. It led me to the first show that I came across actually was the Long Island Medium. I don't know if any of you have heard of that show or of her. That show is what woke me up to spirit. And I was like this has to be real. At the time, I wasn't in touch with my own gifts just yet. I went through a period of really covering them up. As a kid, I was extremely sensitive, and again, covered it up to the point that it was non-existent because I had to be a certain way for my environment. But once I woke up, it was like just constant realizations, constant signs and synchronicities, constant experiences from spirit. And also diving deeper into our own emotions. It's asking questions about it, asking ourselves why we feel this way, why we feel like we're good with that person, like even though it didn't work out, like why am I still stuck on this person? Why do I still feel called to this person? Or why did things go how they went? Who was I in that situation? Or why was I hanging out with those people? Why did that reflect me? Because everybody we choose to be around is a reflection of us at that time. So asking yourself these questions is the key to utilizing the time to yourself that you have, and is the way of shadow work, of digging deep, of healing, 222 on the clock, of getting to know yourself, getting to know your life path, closing out the chapters completely from your last cycle. That's also what a transition period is for, is to close out the chapters from your previous cycle so that you can go into this next cycle without that baggage, or without most of that. Transition periods are a time of rolling up your sleeves and getting down to the nitty gritty. Like, it's about really getting deep into yourself, into your psyche, into why you're holding on to certain things, why you're a certain way, what's in your way. It's facing your deepest emotions, your deepest fears. It's facing the imbalances within you and recalibrating, refocus. That's why God removes all the distractions and puts you in a place where you have no choice but to face these things. You either, in this space, people will stay in a mindset of a negative mindset and not be able to handle it, and fall back into the same cycle, or they choose to actually look deep within it to face and feel the heavy emotions that are coming up to be resolved, and choosing to actually engage with them and embrace them, because that's what you're meant to do. These feelings are scary, especially when you're uncomfortable at the same time, but these feelings are voices. They are showing you yourself. They are showing you, it's like pain. When you have a pain in your body, that pain is telling you that something needs attention here. If you have a pain in your foot, the pain might actually be coming from somewhere in your leg, or your toe, but it's still the vicinity, the vicinity of it. And you only know what the root is if you dive deeper into it, or you get an x-ray. You look at the whole, I don't know where that expression came from, or where I'm just like, some of these things I'm saying are really just like coming out of me, but I typed a lot down to kind of keep me organized, because I tend to be unorganized when I talk. So use this time to get to know yourself. as an extension of him. He wants you to start dreaming, imagining, thinking bigger, thinking of all the possibilities and manifesting these things into your life during this transition period. He wants you to really visualize what you want your life to look like moving forward. What do you want now that you no longer are there? Now what? Also, doing things for yourself that you've put off, things that you've been interested in for a long time that you just kind of didn't have the time or the focus to start doing, that you've always been interested in. It doesn't matter what it is. It's really treating yourself, nurturing yourself, doing things for yourself that, you know, you have always been called. Also to dig deeper on the things that you thought you wanted, and to recognize that maybe some of those things you wanted from an ego, from the place of your ego. You didn't actually want them because it would be fulfilling for you or because you actually felt called to it. It was from a place of your environment. Maybe you wanted those things because it was what everybody else was doing, or it's because you wanted to do it for the money, or you wanted to be with that person because they were comfortable to you. You wanted to keep that person around because, again, comfortable. They were fun, but they weren't trustworthy, you know? And maybe that person, yeah, they were fun, but they weren't trustworthy. But you didn't want somebody that you had to be vulnerable with and had to build trust with. So that's why you kept that person around. It's digging deeper into things like that. Recognizing why, learning the lessons, gaining the wisdom, because that is what's totally priceless in life is wisdom and is knowledge. Those are things that people can't take from you, that nothing can take from you once you learn something so valuable as such. I'm gonna leave you with this. Transition periods are a time where being present is the focus. Being completely present, not knowing where you're going, not knowing where God is taking you, and that's where your faith comes in. It's relinquishing control, relinquishing the control you thought you had, and realizing that there's a higher power and there's a higher life path for you than what you were settling for. And you know, something I've learned as well is that things unfold in our lives at the exact right time. If you are in flow and you are not fighting or resisting change, and you are not resisting what you're being called to, or choices you're being called to make for yourself, no matter how hard they may seem, you know, things unfold naturally. And as long as you're in flow and you're following your faith and you're heeding God, you're heeding spirit, you're listening, and you're treating yourself with respect and dignity, you know, divine timing is a real thing. It really just unfolds. Like, I've gotten to a point where manifesting has not even really been a thing for me. Obviously setting intention is a thing for me and should always be a thing. But in the ways I used to, like doing it at certain times, I actually haven't been feeling called to do so lately, because I've realized that it hasn't been necessary, because I've just been in flow. I've been in trust mode. I've been living in faith. I've been doing what I feel called to do when I feel called to do it. And I've realized that it's just, the control really isn't in my hands when I'm living in this state. And so transition periods are really for our highest good. And I would just want anybody to know who's in this period and struggling with loneliness in this time, or struggling with the hard emotions that you're being called to face, that you are not alone. That when you call out to God, to the divine beings, his helpers, like, you are completely protected. You are completely supported and comforted. If you need to feel more of that, ask them for that and they will give it to you. But trust that the less resistance you have to the process, the more fulfilling this process will be. And I can tell you right now, being on the other side of that transition period, I really wish I didn't take for granted that time, but I didn't know any better. I didn't know where I was going. I really didn't. And all of a sudden my life just shifted, and I'm now married. Within a, 8-month period, I'm married. I'm in a beautiful condo. Finally having steps forward toward my purpose and knowing more about what I want to do. I'm coming into who I am. Like, the things just unfold. And that transition period that I had was what got me here. Because it was the relationship I built with the divine that got me here. And that allowed me to take the leaps that did not make sense to others, would not make sense to others. I relied on my faith. I relied on my intuition that I built a stronger relationship with, the voice of God within me that allowed me to take the leaps without fear. And that's what this period is for you. And so I just want to say, take advantage of it. You won't get this time back when you're in the other phase. Because when you're in the next phase, you're not going to be alone. You're not going to have this time to yourself. You're going to be with your soul family and whoever you're trying to manifest into your life that's of your highest good. And so all I want to say to you is to just take advantage of it, to really enjoy it, really get to know yourself, really be present, and really enjoy the heightened communication you have with spirit at this time. And so I am so grateful for anybody who came across this video, who gets some clarity from it. I will leave my info for personal readings, for healings, for fixed candles. I also have blessed gold bangles if anybody's interested in that. My Instagram, TikTok, all that info I will leave below. And make sure you like, share, subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys next time.